which I think is Dr. Steve Glassey from Animal Evac New Zealand. And it's just coming on when you can turn on your camera and unmute. And we'll give you 10 minutes. And I'll let you know when there's a minute or two to go, but you might like to leave some time for questions. It's all yours.
Tēnā koutou, good morning or good afternoon. My name is Dr. Steve Glassey. I'm the patron of Animal Evac New Zealand, New Zealand's only dedicated animal disaster management charity. We have no staff, we have no buildings, we have no assets, and we've got less than $500 in the bank. Yet we operated and generated one of the largest amount of public submissions in history on civil defence in our recent history. We're here today because we felt that the Emergency Management Bill in its current form fails the animals and also the citizens of our country, and we hope that you can change that. As the former CEO of Wellington SPCA, I led the largest animal disaster rescue operation in New Zealand history, which was in Edgecombe 2017, where over 1,000 animals were left behind following the evacuation of the township when the stop bank along the Ringataiki River failed. The brave efforts of volunteers from the SPCA, Massey University, Fire Service and Civil Defence rescue teams rescued these animals. In the following days, the efforts went largely unrecognised. Early on, when we asked for more teams to be deployed to help the race against the clock to save these animals, our request was declined by the Ministry for Primary Industries because they didn't want to make a fuss. Countless animals died waiting to be rescued, and it was that experience which was the catalyst for the formation of Animal Evac New Zealand, because the system was broken. We can all remember the impact of Hurricane Katrina that struck the US Gulf states in 2005. Over 1,400 people died, and what would become one of the deadliest disasters in US history. 44% of those who chose to stay behind, despite the mandatory evacuation order, did so at least in part because they could not take their pets. Just a year later, the Pet and Emergency Transportation Standards Act, or PETS Act, was introduced as federal law in a landslide vote. The PETS Act mandated plans, provided funding as a federal law, and ensured that animals were rescued, transported and housed during disasters. They did this because saving animals saves human lives. As the former FEMA administrator said in our 2019 report launch at Parliament, pets are people. The Emergency Management Bill takes New Zealand from Cold War era thinking to just 2006. It only covers a third of the key aspects of the 20-year-old US legislation. Since then, since the US have passed that act, other countries from Italy to Colombia have passed laws, not animal welfare laws, but changes specifically to disaster management law to ensure that animals are protected. Colombia has one of the best laws in the world now. The Emergency Management Bill has not just failed to meet or even consider international best practice, it's failed democracy. When the first Emergency Management Bill was brought before Select Committee in 2023, Animal Evac knew it was going to be now or never. We emptied our bank account, and with the support of MediaWorks, we launched our No Animal Left Behind campaign. This included digital advertising, digital billboards across the country, and this led to the highest ever number of public submissions recorded on civil defence. An analysis of these submissions to the Emergency Management Bill number 1 was published in the peer-reviewed journal MDPI Pets. It found that over 61% raised the importance of including animals in new emergency management law. 48% of all public submissions were directly attributed to our 2023 No Animal Left Behind campaign. Following the July 2024 PETS article, a validation study was undertaken by the Parliamentary Library and concurred with these findings. Both studies found by proportion animals were the most significant issue raised in submissions. Yet this has not been reflected in policy advice. The articles give policy advisors an empirical analysis on a plate. It highlighted several non-animal issues such as community resilience, Māori participation, accountability, transparency, risk reduction, recovery, which would have added further substance to policy advice if it had been used. This year, documents supplied under the Official Information Act, following complaint upheld by the Ombudsman, found that the National Emergency Management Agency had developed a project plan for emergency management reform, including the very bill before you. It articulated many risks and specified mitigation such as robust peer review, ensuring previous feedback was taken on board, and ensuring the project was not distracted by operational response. The project plan was never approved, and 75% of the risks identified eventuated. Tables drafted to inform the bill had little to no scientific evidence to substantiate the recommendations. In fact, none of the references cited even included the PETS article, the only published peer review study on the emergency management bill. It is far from convenient that this research was omitted yet replaced with mere opinion. Something that the likes of Sir Peter Gluckman has long warned about. Officials making up policy advice based on opinion and agendas, not scientific evidence. As he once quoted, if you don't use the evidence properly in policy formation, you're less likely to make a good choice. The government of the day has not received evidence-based policy advice, and the depth and focus on the points raised does not reflect the views of public submissions. We believe the members of the Select Committee have every right to ask how officials formed their policy advice, why their own project and risk management process were not followed, and how we ended up with the most underwhelming emergency management reform in modern history. The government of the day, excuse me, the current bill does not just fail animals. It fails to represent the expectations of citizens and fails to provide impartial, objective, and accurate policy advice to the government. If there is any scientific evidence that counters the recommendations in our submissions, we are very interested to see this. More broadly, beyond animals, the Emergency Management Bill lacks thought leadership. We continue to have an endless series of disjointed, knee-jerk reviews and inquiries. We have not learned from previous disasters like the states of Victoria and Queensland, who have an Inspector General for Emergency Management that provides consistent, independent assurance of the emergency management system. NEMA cannot be the regulator, operator, and policymaker if we're ever to see genuine system improvement. Police and ambulance both have independent bodies, yet the likes of emergency management and fire services don't. Ministers and MPs need confidence that there is a standing, independent body that can review emergency management system failures and issues of public interest. Additionally, despite flooding being the #1 cause for emergency declarations in New Zealand, we still have no flood rescue plan or capability. The Hutt Valley is the most densely populated floodplain in New Zealand, and when the flood protection fails, and it will one day, we will have our
1
own
minute to go there.
an event that was the genesis to create better laws. For every day we fail to reform animal disaster management arrangements, we will continue to put human lives at risk. As our elected representatives, we hope that you will listen to the overwhelming call for animals to be better included. Thank you for your time.
And thank you for your time, Dr. Glassey. Unfortunately, we are out of time now, so we won't have time for questions, but I think you've been very clear in your views, so well understood. We are going to move on